Good morning, everyone. Picture this. Every morning you have the power to control the next 20 minutes, fully aware that they are in your hands. Most people don't think like this. They stumble out of bed, grab their phones, and react to the world before defining themselves. This is a real pity because those first moments after waking are some of the most potent and influential minutes of your day. They lay the foundation for everything else. If that foundation is unstable, rushed, distracted, or chaotic, your entire day will likely follow suit. But if it's solid, intentional, and structured, you can direct your actions with clarity and purpose. Consider what happens in those initial 20 minutes. Upon waking, your brain is highly suggestible. Neurologically, you're transitioning from theta and delta waves, deep subconscious processing, into alpha waves, which bring relaxed awareness. At this moment, your mind absorbs information like a sponge, making you incredibly programmable. Yet what do most people do? They inundate their minds with noise, news, headlines, social media posts, emails, and notifications, all dictating what to think before they've had a chance to think for themselves. This is the first mistake. By letting the outside world dictate your first thoughts, you surrender control and forfeit authorship over your own story before the day begins. This isn't just a passive error. It has real consequences. Cognitive, priming studies show that the initial information we absorb influences our thinking for hours afterward. Starting the morning with stress, anxiety, or negativity sets your brain on a trajectory where it filters everything through that lens, much like setting your mind's thermostat too low. Every challenge then feels insurmountable. Conversely, if it's set at the right level, focused, optimistic, purposeful, you face obstacles with resilience and clarity. So, what should you do instead? Take full ownership of those 20 minutes. Treat them as sacred, guarding them with the seriousness you'd give an important meeting or high-stakes decision. The moment you wake up is your chance to define your day's trajectory. There are 3 essential actions you must take in this time frame. First, become aware of your thoughts before they're hijacked. This requires mindfulness, the ability to observe your mental state without immediately reacting. If your instinct is to check your phone, pause. If your first thoughts are negative, analyze them. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me? Is this how I want to start my day? Because if you don't ask, your mind defaults to old habits, and habits shape outcomes. Second, consciously direct your mind toward something constructive. The most effective people share one trait. They don't leave their mental state to chance. They set it. For instance, Jim Carrey famously visualized his success years before achieving it. He didn't let the world dictate his value, he chose it, and so should you. Start by setting an intention. Even saying, "Today I will approach every challenge with strength and patience," changes your thinking architecture. Finally, reinforce your mental state with physical action. The body and mind are interconnected. If you hunch over, scrolling through bad news first thing, your body reinforces passivity. Instead, stand up, stretch, take deep breaths, or step outside and feel the air on your skin. This tells your nervous system, "I am awake, present, and in control." A powerful message indeed. Thus, your first 20 minutes either work for or against you. They're either a tool or a trap, and the choice is yours each morning. Most people don't realize they have a choice, which is why they live in reaction rather than creation. Once you recognize the immense power in those first moments after waking, you can never unsee it. Taking control of your morning means taking control of your life. When you wake, your mind is a blank slate, a canvas awaiting paint. Whether you realize it or not, the first strokes influence the entire composition of your day. Fill that space with chaos, frustration, or worry, and your mind builds its reality around those emotions. But begin with intention, an active choice, to set your mindset positively and structurally, and everything following will be shaped by that foundation. Positivity isn't naive optimism or pretending perfection. It's about orientation, choosing to direct your mind constructively rather than defaulting to negativity. This isn't abstract self-help. It's psychological and neurological reality. Your brain, especially the reticular activating system, filters information aligning with your current focus. Waking up thinking about problems prompts your brain to seek more evidence confirming those problems. Train yourself to focus on solutions, opportunities, and gratitude, and your brain filters the world through that lens instead. Jim Carrey, who deeply understood mindset, said, "Our intention is everything. Nothing happens on this planet without it first happening in the mind." He wasn't just talking about ambition or success, but perception itself. How you choose to think in the first moments determines how you interpret challenges, obstacles, and opportunities. Consider what most people do upon waking. They reach for their phones, check the news, scroll through social media. Within seconds, their minds are bombarded with unchosen information. They react to controversies, others' opinions, whatever the algorithm shows. This hands over control, making them passive participants in their mental state. But you are no passive participant. You are the architect of your mindset, building it with care. Recognize the power of your first thoughts. If your immediate reaction is dread, if your first words are complaints, your mind shapes reality around negativity. But if you wake up and consciously set an intention, if you tell yourself today is an opportunity, today I'll focus on progress, carry myself with strength, you take control. Gratitude comes into play here, not as a shallow exercise but as a rewiring tool. Direct your mind towards gratitude upon waking to counteract the brain's natural tendency to focus on problems. The human brain evolved to scan for threats, focusing on what's wrong for survival. But you aren't merely a survival machine. You're a conscious being who can choose focus. Train yourself to recognize good even in small things. Waking. In a warm bed, another day to improve, build, move forward. Power over actions regardless of circumstances. This isn't denying difficulties, but refusing to let them define you before your day starts. Next is visualization. To have a strong, productive, meaningful day, see it first. Your brain doesn't distinguish much between imagination and reality. Elite athletes visualize performance before stepping onto the field, priming mind and body for success. Do the same. Picture yourself moving through the day confidently, handling challenges with composure. Imagining yourself fully engaged, disciplined, present, then decide to embody that version. Decision is key. Too many wake up letting emotions dictate actions. Feeling tired, they move slowly. Unmotivated, they don't act. But to achieve anything, you can't be a servant to emotions. Train your mind to work for you, not against you, starting in the first few moments. Each morning you have a choice. Let the world impose its narrative or set your own. Begin with reaction and randomness or clarity and direction. The mind is powerful but impressionable. Who writes the script? If not you, you're living someone else's program. Control your morning, control your life. Your mind doesn't exist in isolation. It's not ethereal, floating above your body, untouched by the physical world. Your mind is deeply connected to your physiology. Yet people wake treating their bodies as an afterthought, sluggish, dehydrated, stiff, ignoring the truth that movement, breathing, and nourishment directly affect thinking, focus, and purpose-driven action is a massive mistake. Your brain, relied upon for decisions, problem-solving, and meaning, isn't magical. It's an organ fueled by oxygen, blood flow, and biochemical energy. Neglecting the machine driving consciousness impedes optimal operation. Consider what happens when you wake. Your body has spent hours repairing. Systems reset. In the first few wakeful minutes, your body seeks signals indicating preparation for the day. If you barely move, breathe deeply, or acknowledge wakefulness, you signal tiredness, sluggishness, passivity, and your body complies. But moving, stretching, standing tall, taking deep breaths sends a different message. Wake up, engage, be strong. This message travels upward, influencing mental clarity, motivation, readiness. Great thinkers, from Stoics to modern psychologists, emphasize movement preceding effective thought. Aristotle taught philosophy walking because movement stimulates cognition, activates neural pathways, signaling capability and readiness. In a world where many feel stuck in routines, thinking, self-doubt, physical engagement breaks free. Breathing seems simple and automatic, yet most breathe shallowly, barely using lungs, impacting mental state. Deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, responsible for calm, control, focus. Shallow breaths maintain low-level stress, leaving you uncentered, unpresent. Every morning, breathe deeply, deliberately to reset your nervous system, shifting from unconscious reactivity to conscious control. Then there's fuel. What you consume early affects cognitive function. The brain uses about 20% of total energy, demanding quality input. Processed junk or skipping fuel robs the brain of necessary resources. Contrast that with hydration, real nutrients, stabilizing blood sugar. That person has an edge not from luck but understanding, discipline in treating. The body leads to clarity in thinking. This goes beyond health. It's respect. Without respecting your body, how can your mind function optimally? Neglecting the system carrying you impedes excellence. Many want to feel, think, perform better, but ignore the simplest lever, their physiology. When you wake tomorrow, remember, you aren't separate from your body. Mind and body engage in constant conversation. Movement, breathing, fueling in the first 20 minutes determine your day. Send signals of strength, clarity, readiness, or fatigue. Passivity, distraction. The choice is yours. Each morning you have two choices: drift passively or take control. Set a course, define direction, move towards meaning. This choice determines not only the day's kind, but the life built. People underestimate the first morning action's power. A distracted moment turns into wasted hours. Initial decisions set the day's momentum. Treating mornings as inconsequential conditions disorder into every decision, task, challenge. Most let mornings be dictated by randomness, beginning without a plan, reacting to demands, distractions, impulses. Entering reactive states makes breaking free difficult, spending days responding to urgent matters rather than working on important ones. But it needn't be this way. Create a morning routine serving rather than distracting. It starts with deciding what matters before the world decides for you. Before touching your phone, opening email, engaging with the outside world, define top priorities. What's the single most important task? What actions bring you closer to long-term goals? What decisions make the biggest difference? This isn't just productivity. It shifts reality engagement. Not setting direction first lets the world set it. And the world doesn't prioritize you. Full of distractions, others' priorities, noise pulling you away from what truly matters. Taking a few minutes to define your path arms you against chaos, creating internal structure for intentional movement rather than reacting. Discipline is key because knowing priorities isn't enough. You must act. Avoid the biggest morning trap, low-value activities. Beginning with consuming, scrolling, checking notifications, browsing aimlessly reinforces distraction habits. Training your brain to seek passive stimulation rather than meaningful work. Starting by wasting time subconsciously tells you your time isn't valuable. But beginning with purpose, planning tasks, journaling, reading insightfully, reflecting, reinforces a different message. Your time matters, actions matter, you're in control. Starting in control carries throughout the day, compounding into a mindset, a framework approaching everything else. This separates achievers from drifters. It's not just intelligence or talent, it's directing attention, choosing action over passivity, establishing order before chaos takes hold. Tomorrow morning, ask yourself, am I acting with intention or letting the world decide? Losing mornings means losing days, and enough lost days mean losing the life you could have built. Each morning offers a choice. Wake with purpose or slip into passivity. Take control or let the world dictate. Build meaning or drift aimlessly. The first 20 minutes aren't just routine. They're a message telling your mind what to focus on, your body how to move, your soul what kind of day and ultimately life you create. Most waste these moments on distractions, stress, weakening habits. But you don't have to. Claim them, set your mind, energize your body, clarify your purpose. Act before the world pulls you in myriad directions. Your life isn't shaped by grand moments but small daily decisions. The first decision each morning, how you spend those first 20 minutes, is among the most important. So, tomorrow morning, remember, you're not just waking to another day but an opportunity. The question is, what will you do with it? Who?